Have you ever heard a scary story? A truly scary story? One that affected you? Do you remember how it made you feel? That sense of danger lurking out in the world unseen? Having it return to you, creeping into your thoughts late at night as you're trying to drift off to sleep? Did you ever tell that story to someone else? Candyman was a 1992 horror film directed by Bernard Rose, based on the British novel The Forbidden by Clive Barker. Anyone familiar with the Hellraiser series will recognise that name. The film managed to make a dramatic mark on the genre, even in an era where horror films were as saturated as superhero films are today, especially gimmick serial killers such as Freddy Krueger, Chucky, Willy Wonka.
The suspense is terrible. He's gonna go this time. I hope it'll last.
This was due, I believe, to its unwavering commitment to both its sociological commentary and what we'll be focusing on today, its examination into the power stories have over us all, especially stories born from fear. Candyman is the story of university student Helen Lyle, someone investigating urban legends as part of her studies with her academic partner Bernadette. Together they hear the tale of Candyman from some local cleaners. It's an urban legend about an ex-slave who was tortured and killed for falling in love with a white woman. It is said that speaking his name 5 times in the mirror summons him, and the results won't be pretty for you. But when they try it, nothing happens. The pair learn that the myth started after a breaking and entry turned murder occurred in Chicago's Cabrini Green, both a real-life estate and an actual crime that occurred there. Though Bernadette expresses more and more reservations over investigating, Helen is focused and decides to continue. Eventually, while exploring, she's attacked viciously by a gang member who is evidently using the story to cultivate control over the area, relying on its fear to stop people speaking out.
I hear you looking for Candyman, bitch. Well, you found him.
Helen decides to regardless, and with him arrested, she feels ready to move on and write her paper. Only for another, more gruesome depiction of Candyman to appear before her. Here's the signal for the turn in the plot. Helen starts questioning her own reality. On her end, it appears that Candyman is killing those around her and framing her for the murders, though to everyone else it seems pretty obvious that she's passing out after committing some horrific crimes to those close to her.
The night you were admitted, did the killer appear to you?
Murder! Murder! Murder!
Whenever she sees visions of Candyman, he's continuously lamenting how he needs his story to continue, and he longs to use her to do it.
Your disbelief destroyed the faith of my congregation. Without them, I am nothing.
With the final victim Bernadette being killed and a baby still missing, Helen is committed to a psychiatric hospital for what feels like a day but yet is revealed to be an entire month. Believing in her own sanity, she decides to summon Candyman to escape. Helen rushes to a local bonfire where she knows the child is waiting. Here she encounters Candyman one last time.
We must be on our way now, you and I. Our bones will soon be ashes, and we shall never be separated again.
His intention is for them all to burn together, and thus create a new story they can live through. At the last minute, Helen surprises him. She sacrifices herself to save the child before succumbing to her own burns. In the closing scenes, we see her distraught husband repeating her name over and over in anguish, to which, of course, she appears, and it doesn't end well for him. Mirrors, hook, bees. Not appearing until a sizable 44 minutes into the film, our titular killer can be identified by these three key motifs, elements that fully define the character's purpose. So the first two are pretty simple. As the embodiment of urban legends and campfire tales, it's not a coincidence that Candyman reuses two of the most identifiable calling cards of real-life horror myths. Speaking Bloody Mary into the mirror to summon a vengeful ghost, and the hook-handed hitchhiker who murders those who stop for him. It's a nice way to communicate to the viewers the conceit of what Candyman is. He's not a Jason Voorhees, but a Bloody Mary. Not some big monster man, but something a bit more ethereal. In a very explicit sense, he isn't even a person anymore. If he ever was, he is his story.
I am the writing on the wall, the whisper in the classroom.
So yeah, he has a hook for a hand because his hand was cut off in an urban myth, and there are bees because honey was poured on him. But we understand the message this imagery is conveying. One single bee can't do much, just like how one retelling, one person afraid wouldn't hold much power culturally. It's that repetition, that mimetic continuation of his story that makes him, and other ideas born through fear, so dangerous.
What do the good know, except what the bad teach them by their excesses?
Look at his body, it's overflowing with bees. It shows how fully he's ingrained with this idea, and it's something he passes on to Helen with a kiss before the end. And Helen threatened that existence through her investigation. These kind of stories feed on the darkness of fear, the unease born from the unknown. That's how they keep going. Think about the repeated use of the flash camera. She's illuminating what is shrouded. She makes him a known entity. When Candyman is just a thug with a gimmick, he's powerless, he's just a human. It's because of this that the real Candyman actually manifests, appears to reclaim his legacy.
You are not content with the stories, so I was obliged to come.
It's also why he doesn't appear early in the film when they actually try to summon him. He didn't need to. If anything, them repeating his name was more life towards his tale. In this case, you can kind of see it as a more nuanced take on, say, Freddy Krueger.
You're not alive. This whole thing is just a dream.
What?
But while Nightmare on Elm Street is slasher trash, I mean, it's enjoyable slasher trash, don't get me wrong, Candyman is delving into the concept with much more maturity. The music alone, composed by Philip Glass, well known for his gothic compositions such as his rescore of Dracula, conveys how the creators understood the romantic, almost Shakespearean nature of being kept alive through stories and words.
Nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe, or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee.
And to follow this thread even further, it's no coincidence that he emerges in Cabrini Green, a place so enraptured by fear of the police, of exploitation from outsiders.
So you say you're doing a study? What you gonna say? That we bad? We steal? We gangbang?
And even of each other. It's a place where you can't even feel safe within your own walls.
Everybody's scared. He could come right through these walls, you know. I'm scared.
So many people crammed so tightly together, it's like bees in a hive. It's like a community, fertile ground for rumours and hearsay to sprout. Look at the building, barely an inch is spared of graffiti. I mean, what is graffiti if not a medium to express ideas and stories to people in the area? Like Candyman himself, these are memes. Not the modern sense, but the traditional phenomenon. Fuck's sake! But the traditional phenomena of pieces of culture being passed on from person to person. In this sense, Cabrini Green is the perfect hunting ground for Candymen. But it's not the only place. more a microcosm, a concentration of what lives all around us. The original story was set in a council estate in Liverpool, so universal all these themes that this was transferred to Chicago so easily. Think of the opening shot, the bees rising above this cityscape, a visualization of stories spreading and swarming across entire cities, fueled by fear. And with it fading into Helen's face, it can also in a sense be seen to be prophetic of her own eventual transformation into an urban legend. The terror her story comes to elicit in people, swarming and spreading across Chicago. It was always you, Helen. I think it's easy to see this scene and assume it's another Dracula situation. Candyman is looking to be reunited with a reincarnation of his lost love. And if this was just another slasher film, that would probably be the case. Only this is a plot element that emerges out of nowhere. And we already understand that Candyman's desire isn't to be with his lost love. It's not what he's ruminating on every single time he appears.
Without them, I am nothing. So I was obliged to come. And now I must kill you. Your death will be a tale to frighten children, to make lovers cling closer in their rapture.
And if we look at the bigger picture, we can actually see what's happening here. Candyman wants his legacy to continue. He wishes to be immortal through whispered retellings of his story. And he can't do that as just Candyman anymore. Thanks to Helen, he's been demystified. And now he's going to use her to bring her into his own legacy and create a new, long-lasting tale. In this sense, he is consuming her. And it's here that we understand his plan. It doesn't matter who Helen is or was or what she's actually done. Culturally, she will become the reincarnation of Candyman's lost love, a serial killer who butchered many people before being burnt alive in a bonfire with her last victim, a baby. It's even been said that as people watched her burn, Candyman could be seen holding her in his arms. It's a good story, and it is probably one that would have survived as he intended. But Helen wins out in the end, just not in a way that's immediately apparent. By sacrificing herself to save the baby, Candyman goes unseen and is thus left out of this new story. The only one to catch a glimpse of him is a child who has been shown to be heavily invested in his myth throughout the film.
I can't say nothing, or Candyman will get me.
Here there is danger of Candyman surviving. However, at Helen's funeral, the imagery of this boy throwing Candyman's hook into the open grave says it all. Candyman's buried with her, and his story won't be shared anymore. And in a last bittersweet moment of revelation, we see the Helen's will. Helen survives through tales of the serial killer who burnt to death in front of everyone.
What's the matter, Trevor? Scared of something?
Deep in Cabrini Green, Candyman's image is gone, scrubbed out, supplanted by a mural of the new legacy of the burning woman. Though the idea of Candyman is dead and gone, we know that the power stories told through fear is still around, as it inevitably always has and always will. And that's Candyman. I don't really have any interest in seeing the new one, or the other two sequels that already came out. By itself, it's such a special, self-contained piece of horror art. Every time I watch it, I'm really enamored by the freshness of its approach to horror narrative, its commentary on its own nature without being as overtly meta or comedic as Scream. Doing this video, I even found out that they were playing a Leprechaun versus Candyman film, and just, props to Tony Todd for just, nipping that one in the bud. Yikes. In a lot of ways, I feel a little strange posting this video, like I've been warned thoroughly of the dangers talking about Candyman's nature brings. But like Helen, I guess our morbid curiosity is preventing us from stopping. Like we just can't help ourselves. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.